How is it going, guys? In this video I'm going to show you how to create this very nice 3D screen animation using Premiere Pro. I'm basically going to create the elements in Photoshop, and after that I'm going to use Premiere Pro to put everything together. So let's start.
This is Creative Society.
First of all, go ahead and take a screenshot of the page that you want to highlight. After that, we're going to drag and drop that screenshot to Photoshop. Then in Photoshop, we're going to use the rectangle tool. We're going to draw around the title that we want to highlight. You can turn the opacity to 50% to see how that's going to look like. I'm going to put it back to 100%. After that, we're going to save the screenshot somewhere where we can easily locate it. We're also going to turn off the screenshot layer, and we're only going to save the rectangle. We're just going to save that as a PSD file. Then jumping to Premiere Pro, we're going to start a new project. We're just going to give it a name. We're going to choose the location where we want to save this, and we're going to hit on create. Then we're going to go to new item. We're going to create a new sequence with the following settings: 1920 by 1080, which is basically a full HD video. I'm also going to add a name to this sequence. We're going to go ahead and import our screenshot as well as the highlight rectangle. We're going to drag and drop our screenshot as well as our highlight into the timeline. Then in the effect controls panel, we're going to adjust the scale and the position of the screenshot to make sure it fits within the sequence. Then as you guys can see, we're going to have to basically fill the background with a color. For that, we're going to go to new item and then add a color mate. We're going to eyedrop the color of the background. We're going to name this background, and we're going to add it to the timeline. We put it below all the other layers, and then I'm going to copy and paste the scale and position of the screenshot to the highlight as well. Then under the opacity section, we're going to go to blend mode and choose multiply. Then in order to create the animation to the highlight, we're going to have to go to the effects panel. We're going to choose crop. We're going to add it to the highlight layer, and we're going to animate the right crop. Basically put a keyframe at the beginning and then put a keyframe where you want the animation to end. We're going to choose a value that's going to make the highlight invisible for the first keyframe. Just move the keyframe slightly to the right. I'm going to make this a bit longer so the animation happens at a slower pace. For the time interpolation, I like to use the auto bezier. I feel like this is creating a smoother animation. We're going to have to nest the highlight and the screenshot. I'm just going to name this new nested sequence screen. So now to create that 3D animation, we're going to have to go to effects and look for basic 3D. We're going to add that to the nested layer. And now what we have to do in order to create that effect, we're going to have to animate the swivel, tilt, and distance to image. I'm also going to put some keyframes for the scale and position, because scale and distance to image is actually slightly different. So you're going to have to experiment with that to see. We also have a specular highlight function, which basically adds this highlight to the photo. I'm just going to hide it for this tutorial. And now we're going to have to animate these three values: the swivel, tilt, and distance to image, to create the effect that we want to achieve. As you guys can see here, I'm basically just making adjustments to the position, to the scale, to the swivel, tilt, distance to image. I'm just playing around these values to actually achieve the effect that I want. Okay, now that I'm happy with the results, I'm basically going to add some dramatic effect to this video by adding a vignette. So for that, I'm going to jump into Photoshop. I'm going to use Command N to create a new file. I'm going to make this 1920 by 1080, and then to the background layer, I'm just going to jump into camera raw filter. I'm going to add the vignette by going to this section right here, apply that effect all the way to the -100 value. So that's going to add that black vignette around the photo. After that, I'm headed back to Premiere Pro to actually import this and add it to the timeline. There on the timeline, what I'm going to have to do is to change the blend mode to multiply for this, and also animate the opacity. This adds a more tense vibe to the video. If you think it's too much, you can just change the value to somewhere around 50% opacity. And then to make it even more dramatic, you can actually add a tint. Now you can do this through an adjustment layer, or you can just basically add it straight to the layer with the screen. For the white value, I'm going to choose red, and then I can change the value of this amount to make the effect more subtle. With that being said, with this animation, we have this result. Now it's even more dramatic, and make sure you actually copy and paste this tint effect to the background as well. If you used an adjustment layer, this would not be a problem. It would actually apply to both of of those, but really it just depends on the way you work. You have freedom with that. Now we're gonna open the screen nested sequence, and to the screenshot I want to add some Gaussian blur to actually blur out the other elements outside the text. For that I'm going to go to Gaussian blur. I'm going to add a mask. We're going to make adjustments to the mask, and also I'm going to invert this so it's actually highlighting the title and just blurring things out outside of the title. Again, this could have been applied to an adjustment layer. It really just depends on your workflow. There you go, guys. This is how you can achieve this 3D effect in Premiere Pro. It's a pretty nice way to just highlight text differently, to add some uniqueness to your video. And yeah, if you need any help, don't forget to contact me. If you have any observations, comment down below. If you like this video, hit thumbs up, and also you can subscribe to the channel for more similar content. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you have a great day.